Oh boy. Well, I don't think I have ever seen a Formula One season concluded like that. Hello folks, welcome to F1 Live, your post-race show with me, Will Buxton, and I am absolutely delighted to welcome back our friend Jack Aitken. Mate, first of all, it is so good to see you fighting fit and healthy and back in the car this weekend. It's great to see you, man. It's been a whole year.
It's great to be back. Thanks, man. Yeah, I've missed you.
I missed you too, buddy. What a finale. What have we just seen?
I mean, could the championship have ended any other way than with absolute drama from start to finish?
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. A move for the lead on the last lap, being released from the safety car, means that Max Verstappen not only wins the race, but wins the 2021 Formula One World Championship. Just an astonishing way to end this season. Let's have a little rundown of the results at the end of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, which has seen Max Verstappen take the win, take the points, take the title away from Lewis Hamilton. An absolutely incredible result. An absolutely astonishing race. Hamilton second. Carlos Sainz a brilliant third to cap off a wonderful first season with Ferrari. Then Yuki Tsunoda, his best ever result in Formula One, in fourth. Pierre Gasly is fifth. Then it's Bottas, Norris, Alonso and Ocon, and Charles Leclerc rounding out the top 10. Behind them all in P11, it was Sebastian Vettel, Daniel Ricciardo P12, Lance Stroll P13, Mick Schumacher 14th, Sergio Perez P15, despite the fact he did actually DNF from the race. Then Nicholas Latifi, Giovinazzi, Russell and Raikkonen all DNF'd. Nikita Mazepin did not take the start of the race after testing positive for COVID. And as if by magic, a wild Jolyon Palmer has appeared. Hello, chaps. Mate, as Jack has just said, I mean, the season couldn't really have ended any other way, could it?
I nipped the loo. What happened? Missed the last lap.
You missed quite a bit, my friend, quite a bit.
It was drama, wasn't it? And I don't know, the race was a little bit underwhelming until that point, but you just thought, this is 2021. Something wild is going to happen, and you couldn't quite have scripted that, could you? I mean, the two side-by-side last lap, bit of FIA in there as well, and safety car or not, and lap cars going through or not. Drama, drama, drama.
Totally, but a wonderful conclusion. Max Verstappen, they'll have a word for him first of all. What a drive him today. Actually, that guy there who's just walked through the picture, an amazing drive by Sergio Perez as well. But Max Verstappen, the drive that he put in today clearly didn't have the speed of the Mercedes.
Yeah, which is a bit surprising given his qualifying performance yesterday. I think we were all caught a little bit out by the sheer margin that he was on pole by, but that clearly wasn't the case today. And we had an inkling from Friday that the Mercs would be strong on the long pace, but yeah, still, it was a bit disappointing to see them slipping away again and again from Hamilton.
But when the moment came, he took his moment, put the move on. It was a thrilling final lap. Lewis tried with all he could to try and take that position right back at the end, but just couldn't quite get it done.
He was a little bit stuffed at that point, really, because he was on the really old hard tyre. Yeah. At no point could he pit because he'd lose the track position to Max. Maybe in hindsight, he should have just lost the track position to Max and pitted. But you never know then if the safety car goes to the end of the race, Latifi's car was in pieces, are they going to be able to clear it quickly? And then you just pit and the race finishes on a safety car and Mercedes would look pretty silly. So they didn't have a lot of choice. It was really tough. And on the hard tyres against Max, knowing that he has to come through to win the championship on a new soft, that's a tough way to defend. And it was brilliant how they went side by side for so long, fairly as well. Really tough for Lewis and a stroke of luck for Max, but, you know, what a champion as well. He's had an incredible season, and yeah, after all of it, it comes down to the wire like that, and we get the two of them wheel to wheel again.
It was just a phenomenal finale. Here we get then the replay of Max Verstappen on the soft tyre. Last lap of the race, sends it up the inside.
That was a
really,
send, wasn't it? It really was. But he knows as well, he knows that if there's contact and Lewis turns in, he's champion. If he goes for it and Lewis opens the door, he's champion, so he has to just go for it at the earliest opportunity, because you sort of thought the next place is going to be the best chance at turn 6, but you can't wait when there's only one lap to go, 10 corners to go. You've got to send it as soon as you can. Now,
originally, Jack, they said that the lap cars were not going to be allowed through. Max wasn't very happy about that. On the radio said, typical, of course, they're not going to be allowed through, which meant he would have had to pass them all on the last lap. Then suddenly, they let them through, safety car ends, and it all sets it up. And here it is, the lap cars being let through. And a surprise, I think, to be sure, just with it being changed so late, so last minute.
Yeah, and I think it caught both teams off guard. I mean, obviously, as soon as that decision, the first decision was made, lap cars will not overtake. Red Bull was straight on the radio to the stewards asking, why has that decision been made? This is, not the regular procedure. Of course, the stewards are well within their right to make that decision. And they both knew how critical that was going to be for Max to get to Lewis in time to make that move. And for it to come so late, because it was, 2 or 3 seconds afterwards that they said safety car ending. Yeah, that was interesting.
We've got our first driver to come and visit us, and it will be the last time he's visiting us for now. Antonio Giovinazzi, what a sad way to end your Formula One run, my man. But I think you can hold your head up high at the end of I know what's been a tough year.
Yeah, for sure. No, we had a really strong season on that way. No DNF for until now. But it's racing. From my side, I'm really happy. I already mentioned my progress and how I grow up like a driver. Also today, was a good race, fighting with Sebastian for until the last lap when I had a gearbox issue. But now I want to focus on the next challenge in Formula E for next year, and with the hope that in 2023 I can come back.
I guess the one positive about your retirement is you got to watch the end of the race. Have you ever seen anything like that?
Yeah, actually, I had a good experience in the hospitality to watch the last lap. Was crazy, and congrats to Max. Sad for Lewis for sure, because before that moment he was really under control with 10 seconds, so it was really easy for him. But I think also Max deserves, and it's great to see a driver that I race together in karting Formula 3 to win a championship.
Congratulations. I know this isn't the end for you. Best of luck in Formula E next year. I know you'll be great. It's been a joy watching you race in Formula One, man. I'm sure you'll see you again. Thanks, Antonio. He's a good guy, great guy, huge talent in Antonio Giovinazzi. And talking of huge talent, in a little package, it's Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki, what a time to pull out your best ever result in Formula One. Great quali yesterday, phenomenal race today. How happy are you to sign off your season like this?
Yeah, it's really definitely a good way to finish the season. Obviously this season I really had a tough season, especially in terms of the confidence I had in the car. I lost completely in the middle of the season, and that was a long journey to improve this confidence. But in the end, this week I'm feeling better than even stronger than Bahrain I had. So, but it was a bit too late. But in the end, having a good race, and also obviously Max got a P1 in championship, so it's good for Honda. So I'm really happy.
Yeah, an amazing year for Honda. How will you reflect back on this season? Because I know it's been difficult at times, but I think from the outside looking in, you have grown so much. You've learned all the way through the year. Would you sort of agree that you end the year better than you started?
I think I experienced pretty much everything today, this year. Worst thing and good thing. But I did a team give me time, and obviously they also contract me in the middle of the season, which I was really struggling most. So just thanks for the team that gave me the opportunity, and if I couldn't have that time and the help, I'm not here. So just thanks for the team. Yeah.
Enjoy the break, man. Thanks for coming
much.
on. Great season. Great season. I think we're going to get Esteban Ocon walking in a minute. I'm sorry, you can ask some questions if you want as well, guys. Esteban, hello, chat.
Hello.
End of the season. Let's look back on it. The race, I guess, to start with. How was your day out there? Tricky, I know.
Yeah, no, it was actually a good race for us. I was pretty pleased with ending the season in that way. Both cars finishing in the points. There was not much more we could have wished for. The only thing is that I lost 12 seconds with the VSC and 2 positions, so should have been P7, but doesn't matter. I think today the most important is to say congrats to Max. That aggressivity is shown has given us the world title, and that's mega. So we've witnessed some great driving today.
Were you one of the drivers that were between Lewis and Max at the end with the safety car? What were you thinking at that point? You wanted to get out of the way of them, or?
No, but it was quite late actually, the call that we had to go around and to retake our lap down. But in my head, I was always going to do that at some point. But for sure, the more we were doing that, the more it was going to be tough for Lewis to keep the place behind, having Max on fresher tires.
Great run. Thanks very much, man.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. He's had a great season, Esteban. I think learned a lot from having Fernando as his teammate. And here, Lando. The race that could have been, I guess, that puncture really costing you today.
Yeah, another one.
Another one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, things weren't perfect before. Like, I didn't have the best of starts, I have to admit. And a few gearbox problems as well. So not a clean race, but the puncture I had just ruined it all, you know. I think never knew what was going to happen after the restart, whether I could have had a chance to race with Carlos or what. Whether things still would have been the same, but I think with me in 5th and him in 4th, I still would have finished ahead. So, yeah, tough, but nothing I could have done. So I guess I just have to take it on the chin and accept it. But apart from it, I drove a good race. I think the team did a good job, and we have to be happy with that.
Mr. Bad Luck of the second half of 2021.
I know,
What's
it's
happened?
been incredible.
Since Sochi, like, everything is going wrong for you.
Yes. Don't know why. Like, I think we have to admit as a team, we just haven't been as strong. Ferrari have been very strong and we haven't been as good. But I think none of it's down to us doing a bad job or for myself doing a bad job. Like, my biggest mistake was Brazil, and that of course cost me quite a bit. But apart from that, we've just been unlucky and not as quick. So we just have to accept it and go, you know, we weren't quick enough and we have to do better next time. But it wasn't because of the team here doing anything wrong. We were just lacking pace comparing to where we had to be.
Why did the tail off occur in this part of the season? I mean, it's the end of the year now,
Yeah.
so I guess if there was
just
something...
a combination. Ferrari did a better job, so it made us look not as good. I think we've been unlucky in the races where we could have achieved more. Like Qatar, I still should have been 4th or 5th. Here, I still should have been 5th or 4th at the very end of the race. So that and just like the circus, I just haven't suited us quite as well as what they did in the beginning of the season. That's just a coincidence that the first half did and the second half didn't quite. Yeah, that's life. That's just the way it is. So,
Lando, once you get back home, now that it's the off season, you've had a bit of a tough end to the season. Are you going to completely disconnect from racing for a while?
Yes.
Or yeah.
Go big for Christmas.
Absolutely.
I think that's a good idea.
No, I'll go back home. Spend some time with
your mum?
My mum, my family, everyone really. Also my brother's little daughter too. So go and see everyone, say hello, because I've not seen them very much, and then just enjoy some time off. But before we all know it, it's going to be back at the track and a lot more laps in Barcelona, which I'm looking forward to. So.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on the show,
Cheers,
man. One very proud mum over there. So,
Hi, Mum. Love you, Mum. Thanks.
Thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for coming on. He's had a great year, I think, overall, even though it tailed off a little bit towards the end. Do we think McLaren started to focus on... I was kind of trying to draw that out of him, but it didn't really work. Did they focus on 22, do you think?
We'll find out, won't we?
I know,
we'll find
right?
out. But I just feel like he's been so unlucky.
Yeah.
The puncture today, the puncture in Qatar, the rain in Sochi, some engine penalties as well, the red flag in Jeddah last week. Maybe they've lost a bit of pace compared to Ferrari, who have got a bit better. But just everything seems to be going wrong. And the touch in Brazil that I think was Lando's fault, and he just said it.
Shall we have a little look back over the race and the flash points that led us to ultimately where it did? How's about that, guys? Should we do that? Let's do that. Let's go back to the start of the race. Let's go back to lap 1, because I thought one of the things we'd be talking about today was the incident between Max and Lewis. Lap 1, Max puts the move on. It was a proper lick the stamp and send it moment, and Lewis had to run off track in order to avoid him. Let's have a replay of the start. You boys go through it.
Well, you got Max on the soft tyre, Lewis on the medium. The sort of theory was that Max would keep the lead at the start and then it'd be hounded for the rest of the race, but immediately it didn't happen. And you're thinking, okay, this is trouble now, because he's not going to have another chance, but then does really well through these corners, and he's going to get the run again.
Yeah, and actually we've seen already in quali that there was a big top speed difference between the Merc and the Red Bull, and that came into play here. There's no DRS yet, but he still manages to get a mega toe and close that gap to just the point where he's brave enough to send it. You'll see him tucking in here, Lewis subtly trying to weave to break the slipstream, and here's where he's going to send it.
He's a long way back on that first angle, but then he just about gets to range, sends the lunge,
holds it inside the line.
And that's the crucial bit for me. If he goes off track and Lewis goes off track, then we've seen that how many times in the last races, and you're thinking that's not a legit pass.
Yeah.
For me, he actually kept on track on the exit.
So it's not,
that's a lunge.
It's not Saudi, it's not Brazil.
No, because he stayed on track.
So he's held it on track. That's a legitimate overtaking move. So how then can, and this is the question that ultimately I posed on social media during the race. If he's pulled that move off, legitimately, we can all agree, but Lewis Hamilton has cut the corner and gained an advantage, how is handing back that lasting advantage sufficient if you don't then hand back the lead, and that's what I'm confused about.
So Mercedes' point of view will be that Lewis was ahead going into the braking zone, and that's quite crucial. Max actually only got past because he braked later and deeper than Lewis and was ahead at the apex, but Merck will say, oh, he's out of control, he pushed Lewis out. And Lewis gave back all of the time by the end of the lap when they crossed the finish line. That's what the FIA came back and said when Red Bull were questioning the decision. They said Lewis didn't have a lasting advantage by the end of the lap. Now, it's questionable because they were
But the
pretty
lasting
close.
advantage surely is that he still had the lead, and a lead which had been taken by, as we've all agreed, a legitimate... You're racers. You're in Max's car. Is that a legitimate pass or not?
I think because he stayed on the track, I think it is. It's super brave, and he's coming in really hot. And to be honest, Lewis doesn't have a huge option. Can he get on the brakes to slow it down a bit more? It's tricky because Max is there. But also, it's a sort of a classic lunge that I think we used to see. Daniel Ricciardo made like a career at Red Bull from sending it, and if you're on the outside, you sort of get run a bit wide. It's a tough one, but for me, it was just about acceptable.
Yeah, I would agree. I think from the driver's point of view, it's really hard to say Max did anything wrong there. But then, go back to Brazil where Lewis was on the receiving end of a bit of a shove and there was no penalty, and Mercedes will use that and say, well, hang on, where's the consistency? Because we felt like we were more than well enough alongside, and the decision didn't go their way there. And
so there's that little bit of confusion, but ultimately keeping that lead put Mercedes on the back foot, because it was then Red Bull's ball to roll. They rolled it, they stopped, but they left Perez out, which led to one of the best moments of the race. Checo defending like his life depended on it. Absolute MVP of the race for Sergio Perez. You said man of the match before we came on air. It was pretty sensational, and here it is.
It was mega, wasn't it? On shod, soft tyres, Lewis coming through much quicker. This looks like the pass in the end because you can see Max already right behind. But he just fought so hard. The lap before was where he was just sending it back in. It's a tricky one for Lewis because you cannot afford to put yourself in a risky place with someone that has nothing to lose. So you've got to be a little bit cautious there. And Checo was just sending it. This was the perfect team job.
I think that right there was the biggest mistake Lewis made in this battle, because you're absolutely right. He cannot afford to get any damage at this moment. But he just left enough of a gap on the inside there, going on the long curve down the straight towards turn 9. And Checo was straight on it. He saw the gap, he went for it. He knew he had a limited chance to get back to him.
And then he just backs him up all the way through here, where you can't overtake through that section. We heard it on the radio, his engineer saying, just back him up, just back him up.
Yeah.
Wow, he did
Mercedes
5 seconds slower on that lap.
It was incredible because Max got that gap down then to under 2 seconds. It was just, in terms of team game, gamesmanship, pretty incredible.
And
Perfect.
Lewis wasn't very happy and sort of said, is that a bit dangerous, backing off in that corner? But it's a little bit similar to what he did in 2016. I was racing, I don't really remember it all that well, but wasn't he backing Rosberg up in a sort of similar manner to try and win the championship there?
Daniel Ricciardo joins the show. Hello, my man. Not the result I know you wanted to end the season, but the good news is the season's over now.
Yeah. Did you say the good news is the season's over?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to be like that. Well, but you kind of have to be, because it is such a long year, and of course, we're doing something we love. But the last part of the season, it's with the triple headers and the doubles. It's been intense, and I think most importantly, I'm looking forward to just getting home eventually and spending some time with family in Australia.
Even if you've got to spend Christmas Day in a quarantine hotel, I know that.
Yeah.
But look, on Thursday, you and I were chatting, and
I might pull my teeth out. We'll see what happens.
I hope they've got good room service. You said on Thursday that in order to understand the difficulties you'd had this year, you had to completely scientifically take yourself apart and understand every facet of why you're fast, where things weren't quite working. Hello. How helpful has this year been for you in terms of that understanding, in terms of getting a real knowledge of how you race and why you race as you do?
Yeah, it's been, I kind of had to learn the hard way, if you will, definitely more tricky days than not, but I did definitely learn stuff through that, and so that's, I have to take that and, put it to good use for next year. I think I took a bunch of it for the second half of this season, and my second half was better. but still not the level I want it consistently. So definitely still some stuff to work on, but I think what will give me that is just some time away now. I need a break.
I know we've got to let you go, so just a quick one before you do. Used to be teammates with Max, world champion today. Happy for him?
Yeah, I am. I'm happy for him. Happy for Red Bull to get back up there. So of course I am. But maybe I don't know. Maybe this is the nice guy in me, but I can't say that without feeling for Lewis. That was a dramatic ending to the season.
Thanks, man. Cheers for coming on. Enjoy the break. Enjoy the quarantine hotel.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Cheers, man. It's fascinating to see how he has unpeaked himself this year to try and understand the car himself, where it was going wrong. And he said the other day, I've really learned why I'm fast. And he'd never kind of had to scientifically understand because it's just been on feeling, as I guess you guys know. Have you ever gone to that place where you've had to dissect how you race in order to understand why things are going wrong?
I tried, it didn't work. And that's why I'm here, Will. So it's tough. When you get a new teammate as well, I felt like he would maybe be the stronger of the two at McLaren. I've always rated Lando really high, but it's Daniel Ricciardo, 7-time winner, top dog. He did it really well at Renault before as well. And I thought he'd come in with a huge momentum and be strong, but Lando's raised his game so well this year as well. And I think you do have to soul search a little bit in those tough times.
I think Carlos made it pretty hard for him to step into those shoes because he adapted to the McLaren so well and so quickly and was challenging Lando and being a great teammate. That the bar was set pretty high. And actually, talking to some of the guys from that team, I think one of the advantages for Lando is that it is not the easiest car to drive on the grid, but he's just been there so long and done such a good job that he makes it look easy. And you know, Daniel's had a real tough job this season to get on top of that.
But it's all new cars for next year, isn't it? So all the learning that he's doing, I wonder how much of that you'll actually carry over, because it's not even just like a new car like it's always a new car. It's the whole new generation, different downforce levels, maybe a different driving style to get the most out of it.
Fascinatingly, if it had come easier to him, then he might not have been able to uncover or work with the team so much on figuring out what he likes from a car. So in terms of the feedback he's had to give the team in terms of telling them what he needs, what he wants from a car, actually that could prove really beneficial for them going into next year, because they will now know every single facet of Daniel's driving and what he likes out of a car, because there was so much about this car that he didn't like.
That's the benefit of working with the team before the rule change, and that's why Fernando's back as well before next year, where he's hoping is going to be the big push with Alpine. You work with the team, you build up a rapport. It's really important to have a really good dialect with your race engineer, all the designers as well, who are trying to put some direction on the car. So maybe it'll be quite different for him next year.
Someone's getting thrown in the harbour. I think it's someone at Mercedes' last day. Usually you'll get covered in all the slops from the kitchen and blue dye, but I think he's in the harbour. So last day, hijinks. It's like the last day of school, isn't it? It's brilliant. There's been such a great vibe all day, but that last lap has just tipped things right over.
I had to check it wasn't Michael Massey they were chucking in the harbour there. It wasn't, but the tension was high, wasn't it?
You can get yourself in trouble on that one, mate. Let's look very...
That's what Toto was on the radio to him the whole time.
So quickly, looking at the last lap, Mercedes, Red Bull, both of them said they wanted to win it on track. Do we think anything over those last couple of laps will see Mercedes protests? Or do we think that actually looking at the words from Lewis after the race, how kind of humble, gracious, conciliatory, congratulatory to Max he was, that actually they'll just say, you know what, we were bested this year?
My opinion is, in the end, it was just unlucky for Lewis and Mercedes because Nicholas Latifi crashed. And in the end, the decision to let the lap cars through, it's just the normal one that we always see. The confusion was why they weren't going to let them through in the first place. Yeah,
miscommunication.
Exactly. The miscommunication was what made it seem like a bigger deal. But, you know, the safety car comes out. I think everyone at the circuit thought that's going to bunch up the pack. There's going to be 5 lap cars between them.
And it's that confusion of communication which has existed not just at this event, but going back. Is that something that has to be worked on over the winter in terms of how the FIA communicate with the teams that a decision needs to be made and stuck to, not then changed 30 seconds later?
I think there's a few things. I think the decision, personally, I think Michael's job is harder when we can all hear the conversation.
Yeah.
We never used to. This year's the first year, and I don't think it helps him when he knows that as soon as you get the team managers at Mercedes and Red Bull speaking to him, it's going to the world. These things used to just be sorted, and we wouldn't hear how they've come about, but they'd just be done. So I think he's got a really tough job.
So I don't know, because I don't work within an F1 team. Is it usual for team principals to try to tell the race director not to put a safety car out when it's something to do with safety? Is that usual
I think
or
that's
not?
probably pushing it a little bit. I mean, when it comes to matters of safety, you have to leave that completely in the hands of the FIA, because that's getting into very murky waters. But I think that's showing, the emotion coming through for Toto a little bit.
And don't forget, they had the red flag in Jeddah last week that was a tough decision on them. The safety car, they were looking great, and then the red flag, and it sort of changed the complexion of the race. So I think they were worried about the championship ramifications of the safety car coming. Maybe it happens all the time. It's just high stress, isn't it?
It is indeed. Somebody that I really want to hear from right now is the man behind that RB12. And that is, of course, the one, the only, the legend that is Mr. Adrian Newey, who's with Laura Winter.
Well, Adrian, I'd imagine at some points during that race there was a moment where you thought this wouldn't be possible with Lewis Hamilton with such an advantage. And then, of course, the safety car comes out and you put Max Verstappen on softs. You pulled the trigger and Mercedes didn't, and that was the moment that decided it.
Yeah, I mean, it was as you say, it kind of looks as if it's all slipping away from us. Lewis just seemed to have 2-3 tenths advantage on us, and it was just eking it out. We obviously gambled to then go for a 2-stop. We had nothing to lose, but it looked like we were going to run out of laps, and then the safety car changed it all. It's funny, you kind of, in that period just before the safety car, you just kind of think, you kind of start to reflect on all the missed opportunities this year and the bad luck we've had, and bits and pieces, what happened at Silverstone. And then, we were lucky. And we were lucky, but we'd got the strategy right as well of coming in and putting him on softs.
It was an incredible achievement. Thank you so much. Congratulations to you, Adrian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Guys, the job that Red Bull have done this year, Jack, I want to start with you. 7 years in a row, Mercedes Constructors and Drivers Champion. There was a slight rule change at the start of the year to break that dominance of Mercedes. What kind of a job has Red Bull done this season? And Honda as well, it must be said.
Yeah, absolutely. Credit has to go to all of the boys and girls at Red Bull and Honda, because we've seen them inching closer and closer over the last, 4 or 5 years now, during a period of dominance from Mercedes. And people have to understand that there's almost a domino effect of when a team is able to dominate a season, it just means that they have the upper hand and can switch their resources earlier to next year's car, and then they dominate again, and they can switch focus again. And it just turns into this cycle. So to break that and to turn up with a car this year that was genuinely quicker than Mercedes at a lot of the races, incredible job. Yeah.
And a man who has played a massive role in that is Sergio Perez. We've already voted you, I don't know if you got driver of the day, I think you should have done. Man of the match, undoubtedly. What a brilliant drive from you today. First of all, before we look at the championship success, how much fun was that race with Lewis?
It was really intense, because I knew the situation of the race at that time. I knew that basically Lewis had all the windows for the virtual, for the safety car. So it was important to hold him back a bit. But I was on really old tires, I was at the end of my soft tires and I was dying completely. So to make him lose those seconds was definitely critical in the race today.
6, wasn't it? It was a brilliant job.
Yeah, something like that. It was quite a challenge to do so.
How much risk were you willing to take with him? Because it looked like you were just going to send it and just do everything you could to keep him back.
Yeah, of course, I was in a position, as a driver, as a person, you don't really want to interfere in the Drivers' Championship, but at the end of the day...
You did today.
it's my team, I'm sure even Lewis will understand, and I just did the best I could for my team, and at the end I'm extremely happy. I think Max really deserves the championship.
This time last year, over in that hotel, you signed a contract to come and race for Red Bull Racing. You now stand here 1 year later, having won the World Championship. How does it feel, man?
Yeah, it feels good, to have contributed into it. Max has been a great teammate. The team has been really supportive, and I look forward for more. I think next year we are all starting from zero, so I look at it as a big opportunity.
Can you get onto terms with Max? Can you be the one fighting for the championship next year?
That's my target. I have to raise my game. I really have to put everything together, and hopefully I'm next year fighting for the championship.
Where's he stronger than you? Where do you need to improve the most?
I think he's been really at one with the car. I think his years of experience as well. I mean, he's extremely talented, the guy, but he's really at one with the car, and he exactly knows how to manage the tires, how to get the tires, how to basically do everything with it. And when you get into a new car, it has taken me longer than expected. I think at times I was at his level, but just not since FP1 basically.
I should apologise, I misspoke. In all of the excitement, I thought that you guys had won the Constructors at the same time as well, so I'm sorry for...
Yeah, it's a shame we lost it out. I think it would have been really close, if we got... I think today we could have gone 1-2, and I don't know where Valtteri finished, but anyway.
Now you get some rest. Going home for Christmas?
Yes. Yeah,
Good.
Look forward to it. It's been a very intense year.
It really has. Thank you so much. Great job all year, man. Thanks so much. He's done a cracking job, hasn't he? I know it wasn't easy for him at the start. He said, give me 5 races, I'll be on top of the car. Bam, wins.
Yeah, he's had his moments, and he's just said it, hasn't he? He had moments where he was there, but he's up against Max in the same way that Valtteri's up against Lewis. These are like some of the greatest drivers of the generation, so it's just so tough for them to do it consistently. Obviously, that's the aim for him next year, but is Max going to kick on again now, having one title won? There's probably a sort of an ever-evolving benchmark.
Yeah, I think that's something we can probably discuss a little later in the show, just what stands in front of Max Verstappen right now. Well, we haven't really discussed about Lewis Hamilton yet today. What a season he's put in, and what a season Mercedes have put in as well. If you think where we were, goodness, what is it, 10 months ago, when we started the season, Mercedes were not the favourites coming into this. And one thing we learned this weekend, actually on F1 TV Tech Talk, is that they never did spend that token. This car is ostensibly the W11, just amended around the new regulations. It's essentially a 2-year-old car that they've managed to take this fight, win the Constructors' Championship, and come that close to the drivers in.
They put up a huge fight, didn't they?
Unreal, isn't it?
A huge fight, because there were various moments in the year. There were some moments it looked like Mercedes were there, and then sort of Austria time, and you're thinking, are they going to actually be able to challenge at all here? But a fool would write off Mercedes this season. Even in the final race, they should have had it. They've won the Constructors. They should have had the drivers, but for Latifi hitting the wall, and Hamilton's the champion. I feel really sorry for the team and for Lewis. Of course, with every great story, there's a sort of sad story as well with it. And that's Lewis today, who drove really well, was never under any pressure, had the race in the pocket, but you just never know until you cross the line if that's it. And he knows it only too well.
Have we seen the best version of Lewis Hamilton that we've ever seen this year?
I think so. I mean, I was just going to say, I think with Max and Lewis, we've seen two incredible drivers at the absolute top of their game, but also with different approaches, haven't we? They've got different temperaments, and Lewis has been very steadfast, and he's almost been trying to push Max into making these mistakes and penalties, and he almost did it again today. But he's been so incredibly consistent in the last 5 years, and just raising his game again and again and again, and just the fact that he's been able to fight with this car to the very end, and like you say, probably should have won the championship, but for that last incident.
Someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. They both deserve that title this year. They've both driven so well.
And if Timo Glock had sort of a little bit less drizzle in 2008, then Lewis wouldn't have won the championship on the last lap.
If some butts were candy and nuts, that's it, isn't it?
It's really tough, because you just can't control the things, and that's why Toto was so pleading with Michael Massey on the radio, because it's just out of your control. You've done everything you can as a team, both teams did, and everything's just out of your control there, and it's for a world championship, so it's really heartbreaking stuff. But I think Lewis has driven as well as ever this year. He's had to dig deeper than ever before. I'm sure he'll be back strong.
One guy who has driven sensationally all year as well, this man, Carlos Sainz. Carlos, I mean, what a year, what a first year with Ferrari, capping it off with a podium. Great drive, great result, great year. It's all been great.
Yeah, especially the ending, has been particularly great for me with my best racing Ferrari, putting together everything that I've learned through a year to put together a very strong race today, with the start, with the race management, with a podium that gives me also P5 in the Drivers' Championship. So it all came together.
Sensational.
Rewind to February.
Yeah.
You've just joined the team. You do a few laps of Fiorano to get to know the team, up against Charles as your teammate. Did you think the season would go this well as your first year?
I mean, it was a very challenging one, especially because of the lack of testing, no? So I didn't know how quickly I was going to adapt, but already in Fiorano and in Bahrain, I saw I was pretty quick, and I said, okay, I'm going to be there, you know. I know I'm quick. I know that when I have the car to my liking and I have the speed to do whatever it takes to be quick in Formula One, but I must say that the first part of the year was challenging, adapting to different things of the car that I didn't fully understand, and then in the last third I put together everything to score some good qualifyings and some good race finishes.
I know you've got to go to the press conference, so thank you so much for coming on the show. Undoubtedly your best year ever in Formula One, man. Congratulations,
Cheers,
it's been
guys.
sensational to watch. What a guy, what a job, and what a job from Ferrari. Start of the season, we left testing, they were looking 5th, maybe 6th quickest in Formula One, 3rd in the Constructors, Carlos P5, sensational job.
Yeah, as Lando was alluding to earlier, they've kind of crept up on it this year, haven't they? They weren't looking so hot at the start of the year, and they've just clawed their way back into the battle. And like, you know, today's result was brilliant. It's gone under the radar, understandably, but that was a brilliant race from Carlos.
As a driver pairing go, I think they're really, really good.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we've all rated Charles as one of the best, and he's shown it when Ferrari were competitive. But honestly, Carlos has come in and been tremendous. He's run him on qualifying and races. They're right there together. How many times are they finishing just neck and neck? That bodes really well if they can take the car on to the next level.
And keep it clean.
McLaren was sad that they had to let him go, but obviously, you know, Ferrari comes calling. Zach said, you've got to leave. They were very happy to get Daniel, who they'd wanted a couple of years previously anyway. But, you know, Carlos is one of those drivers, isn't he, who's kind of he's just bubbled underneath, but he's always been good. He's always been quick, even when he and Max were teammates. He's always been there. Was Red Bull letting him go a bit of a mistake for them?
Well, maybe, but I don't think anyone necessarily would have had him down as a potential champion in the right car. A really good driver, and he's shown it in every team. But I think he's shown this year that give him the right car, and he can take on the best out there. And I think that this is, as you say, maybe a bit of a breakthrough season for him, where he's joined Ferrari. It's probably quite an intimidating atmosphere as well. And he's nailed the season, really. His stock value's gone through the roof.
And him and Charles pretty much level on points the whole way through the season, as you were saying. Charles, one of the most highly regarded drivers in the sport right now. Yeah,
and actually it's not the first time he's done it. You know, he had to go up against Lando in McLaren, like we were saying earlier. He did a fantastic job there to get up to speed with that car and get on par, don't get run over.
That's tight.
Yeah, so he's done this before. It's not the first time, and now it'd be really great to see if he can make that next step if he gets the car to be able to win races.
One driver who we won't be seeing any more of is Kimi Raikkonen, of course, bringing the end of his Formula One career this weekend here in Abu Dhabi. It's been amazing to see him race. Unfortunately, couldn't quite see the checkered flag today. Brake issues bringing an end to his race. Let's hear from him at the end, not just of his Grand Prix, but of his Formula One career.
Kimi, that wasn't the way it was supposed to end. How do you feel?
Sometimes it goes like that. Unfortunately, there was some issue with the wheel nut, and there was a small moment already lap before, and then it went. But you know, it happens. Honestly, either way, the end result doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter how it comes to the end. It's the end now, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It's been a big weekend, lots of goodbyes. Now it's all over. How do you feel?
No, I feel good. Like I said, you know, I'm looking forward to, let's say, normal life that I know outside of F1 anyhow. And yeah, a lot of good wishes and this and that. And you know, I'm not a big fan of them, but it's great to see, you know, all the support and you know, a lot of great people here. And you know, but no, you know, I'm happy I lived through it, and you know, I'm happy to go and do normal things.
Quite incredibly, since he announced his retirement, Kimi Raikkonen has given the longest answers I've ever heard. What kind of a driver was Kimi Raikkonen? How much will he be missed from the sport?
What a character.
Yeah.
One of the iconic characters in Formula One history. and a great driver as well. And that's maybe been forgotten a little bit when he's been with Alfa Romeo further back. But I remember growing up watching Kimi in the McLaren and how amazing he was as a 21-year-old, 22-year-old at that time, taking the fight to Schumi. And he was just gunning it all the time. The 2005 Japanese win that he took. A great driver, fantastic driver, good champion, and yeah, a real character that's going to be gone.
We forget he was sort of the Max Verstappen of his generation. He got given a provisional license when he first came to Formula 1 because he had only 23 single-seater races under his belt when he made his debut.
Yeah, I think people, if we had that today, it'd be absolutely sensational. He came straight from Formula Renault, as it was then, not even F2
You'd never
or
get
F3.
the super license points.
Shocking.
That's even more than Max. I mean, Max was at least Formula 3 for a season.
Yeah. Exactly. He's been, like you say, John, he's such a character, and that's what we need in sport. We need these characters to build stories around, and yeah, okay, probably not the easiest guys to get an interview out of, but bloody hell did he have a lot of fans.
Can you imagine another Kimi coming through? Because I think if someone comes in and tries to be a Kimi again, is that going to be cool, or is that just going to be a bit annoying? Just say something more.
I think
Kimi just nailed it, didn't he?
The thing with Kimi is he was unashamedly always himself. He never tried to be anybody other than what he was. He was just a guy who loved his racing. We will miss him, as the guy said. He's written quite an incredible story in Formula 1. Here's some of his greatest bits.
Get my claps and steering wheel. Steering wheel. Claps and steering wheel here. Come on! Move! Just leave me alone. I know what to do.
Now then, Mr. Raikkonen, what can you do? Kimi Raikkonen wins his first Grand Prix. What a start to the 2003 Formula 1 season. Fantastic. Raikkonen on a charge now. Kimi Raikkonen wins for Ferrari in Belgium.
Kimi Raikkonen is in another league right now. This is absolutely thrilling stuff. Kimi Raikkonen wins the US Grand Prix.
Well done, my friend. Thank you. Finally.
By my calculations, we win the championship by 1 point.
For sure, I'm gonna enjoy today.
Can Raikkonen sweep in? Yes, he can. Brilliant.
What a brilliant move. Grand Prix racing at its absolute finest. Sensational performance.
Obviously, I'm happy. So, just prove some people wrong. Makes enough fun for me.
I don't know about you guys, but I don't think we'll ever see Kimi... No, never mind see his like again. I don't think we'll ever see Kimi Raikkonen again. I think after tonight, once he leaves the paddock, that is probably the last we will ever see of him.
I was waiting for him to be a big special guest and do the last half an hour of post-mortem with us. He's probably home already, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Probably already jumped on the flight back.
No, it's going to be sad to see him go, but I think he'll probably try and go out with a bang tonight. Yeah, no, it's a special day.
Lots of people leaving the sport or their teams. Valtteri Bottas' last race with Mercedes, 101 appearances in a row in Q3, every single race for the team. They love him there. They love him so much. They've just thrown him in the harbour as well. So, yeah, he's got a big job ahead of him next year, hasn't he? Moving to Alfa Romeo, replacing the departing Raikkonen. It's not going to be an easy job.
Yeah. It's going to be a bit of a change of gear, I think, for him, having been at Mercedes. He's done a great job there, Constructors' Champions again. It's kind of his job, really, to do that, and he's been playing second fiddle to Lewis. But it's going to be back to basics, really, for Valtteri, how he came through the ranks of Williams, back to Alfa Romeo. Can he lift them? I think they've got the sort of core of a good team, so maybe they can get back to being sort of stable midfielders.
And it's easy to overlook the job that he's done and to forget the fact that without Valtteri and the results that he's put in, Mercedes likely wouldn't have taken as many championships as they have done.
No, absolutely. I mean, he was a little bit anonymous this weekend, which was such a shame because they needed his help up there, and maybe things would have turned out differently. But throughout the year, he's really committed to his role as being a number 2 to Lewis and helping him when needed. And, it's going to be a very different scenario next year. It would be great to see him under Vasseur. It's a very different style at that team, and I think it could really work for him.
Okay, I'm just hearing in my ear, Sam Collins, our tech analyst, is around in the paddock with some breaking news. Sam, what's going on, man?
Well, as the Red Bull team celebrate here after a sensational Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, there is breaking news. The current new world champion, Max Verstappen, has been summoned to race control for overtaking behind the safety car. Article 48.8 of the sporting regulations, it's strictly forbidden. What's going to happen here, we don't know, but this is far, far from over. Back to you.
So, overtaking under the safety car, I think we all know the moment that we're talking about. We can have a replay of that right now. Guys, can you roll VT and we'll talk it through. So guys, here it is.
Well, yeah, we can see now safety car is in. Lewis is now effectively the safety car. He has got the control of the pace. Max is already up alongside him, very aggressive, and he's just nosing ahead right there.
It's like an inch there, isn't it? An inch there.
Yeah, really, he shouldn't be doing that. He should be staying in line, but I don't know.
It's psychological games, isn't it? Coming on to the last lap, make your presence known. Soft tyres. Lewis, I'm sure, wouldn't have been oblivious to the fact that Max was there anyway, but he's just trying to just get in Lewis's head. In the age of protests and penalties and everything happening between Red Bull and Mercedes, maybe it's a bit silly from Max to even have that be a question. He could have just stayed behind, and he's champion now without having to go to the stewards room, but with everything that's happened, a bit of bad blood between Red Bull and Mercedes, he's given someone an option to do something.
Let's just bring it back to what we were discussing at the start of the show with lap 1. When is a driver ahead?
Well, he was ahead though, wasn't he? At one point, because his nose is ahead of the other car. But
is that fully ahead? I mean, that's the question.
I think under the safety car is quite clear. You know, we're not talking about racing room or to the corner at this stage. He had his nose ahead. That's pretty slam dunk. Will they penalise him in terms of position for a world championship for that, which is relatively a minor offence?
Will they look at the braking traces and see if Lewis
Max shouldn't be there.
He should be behind him.
He shouldn't be risking it, so it's coming down to inch by inch. You know, it's a safety car. It's meant to be 1 by 1. He's already pushing it to be side by side, so it shouldn't come down to that. But that's to try and change the championship based on an inch of overtaking under safety car that made no difference. I think it would be a really, really bold call at this stage.
It wouldn't be necessarily the most surprising thing in a season that's had the sort of twists and turns that this year has. But yeah, we will keep you folks obviously up to date if we hear anything before we go off and head back to the hotel. Why don't we hear from Lewis Hamilton, the man who came so close to an 8th Formula One World Championship. So close, so close to making history, just wasn't to be.
Lewis, it's been an amazing season to watch for everyone, for the fans of Formula One. Whether you're a Max fan, whether you're a Lewis fan, it's been one of those seasons that's got down to the wire, to the last lap of the race. It didn't go your way, but you must be proud of what you've done this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, firstly, a big congratulations to Max and to his team. I think we did an amazing job this year. My team, everyone back at the factory, all the men and women we have and here worked so hard this whole year. It's been the most difficult of seasons, and I'm so proud of them, so grateful to be a part of the journey with them. And yeah, we gave it everything. This last part of the season, we gave it absolutely everything, and we never gave up, and that's the most important thing.
You obviously started a little bit on the back foot at the start of the year, but as you said, you guys worked together, very strong end to the season. Didn't quite go your way, but I think we've seen the best Lewis Hamilton I've ever seen, and you seem very confident in your ability to come back next year and fight for that crown again.
Yeah, of course I've been feeling good, great in the car this past couple of months, particularly at the end. If I'm honest, you know, we were still in the pandemic, and I just really wish everyone to stay safe and have a good Christmas with all their families, and yeah, we'll see about next year.
I feel it's one person has to win the World Championship, but I feel you deserve something this year, mate. That was an exceptional year, so congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Good to hear from Lewis Hamilton, conciliatory and magnanimous in defeat, but will it be defeat? Sam Collins has more.
Yeah, thanks Thanks, Will. I'm down here at race control. The door's obviously very much shut behind us. And the breaking news is there is a second protest which has been lodged by Mercedes. I've just seen Andrew Shovlin go into the race control building along with representatives from Red Bull. Now, if you want to know what the protest is about, I won't read you the full section of the regulations, but it's here in front of me. Essentially, the protest is about the safety car period once again, but in this situation, the way the FIA did not wave the cars through to take up the position, and then quite simply what should have happened by the regulations may not have been followed. That's what Mercedes is going to argue. Red Bull look like they're going to argue against that. What the situation is going to be is really unknown. This championship battle is now no longer being fought out on the racetrack. It's being fought out in the building behind me. And the resolution to who wins this World Championship is far from settled. Back to you, Will.
Well, there we go. Thanks for that, Sam. So ultimately, they're looking at the process by which the cars were let through behind the safety car and whether that was done in the right manner or not. We thought this championship might end in acrimony. It appears to be.
Well, I'm assuming this is referring to the fact that sort of the cars in between Lewis and Max overtook the safety car and a lot of others didn't. It was done really late, wasn't it? Just a lap and a half, so they were nowhere near catching the back of the field. They don't have to catch the back of the pack, but they've got to clear enough distance, which they did because they weren't in sight at the end. It was a really messy situation with the whole cars can't come through, then cars can come through. And it's the mess that's created this confusion and possibly this investigation now. It should have been, I think, a little bit more clear-cut, like it always is with a safety car. Lap cars can overtake. There was obviously the time to do it. And that was, for me, the obvious situation that should have happened.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, there's always a very clear process to avoid this kind of problem, isn't there? And it seems that process wasn't followed to the T. It is obviously extenuating circumstances. We have seen lap cars let through very late, as it was in this case. The only reason that would have been is to allow the marshals a clear piece of track so that they could have had as much time as possible to clear away Latifi's car. The problem was that first message where they said lap cars will not be allowed through.
I don't think that's happened for like 10 years.
No.
Where lap cars, because it used to be the rule that lap cars were just in the mix. In the mix. It was a bit frustrating for the neutral trying to watch the race, and then because of that, they made the rule that lap cars can go round, join the back of the pack, and it sort of gave everyone a better spectacle and a nice end to the race or restart. It hasn't happened for a very long time, so it was a real surprise.
Can they not just allow, I mean, going forward, it's something that's always been debated, can you just let the cars drop back rather than have to catch a lap up, just actually drop back through the field?
It's been debated a long time. Sebastian Vettel is the pioneer of this debate.
Yeah.
Even when I was racing, 5 years ago, Seb was saying that in all the meetings. I think it's to do with the transponders and they're having to recalibrate them for losing a lap. I assume there's a way to do it and it would be way quicker, way easier. But I don't think the actual sort of practicality of them doing it was such a big issue here because they ended up doing it anyway. They could have, I think, let them go a lap earlier because it looked like Latifi's car was off the road. So you just sort of crack on. But there was the delay and the hesitancy, maybe because the FIA were, so wary of the impact their decision here could make. So it's a tough one for them. But it was a strange decision, I think, the first one.
Should we hear from the world champion?
Let's do it.
For now, it's Max Verstappen.
Max, Formula One world champion, how does that sound?
Yeah, pretty crazy, especially how the whole race went. I mean, it was a bit of a roller coaster, of course, from not really having a chance of winning to the last lap where everything comes together and you have to go for it, and we did. So, yeah, incredible. I mean, insane emotions as well. I lost my voice already, so I think a few people in the garage as well. I haven't even seen my engineer. I'll probably hug him to death.
I'm sure he'll enjoy that, he'll allow you. But there were so many moments in that race where it felt like it wasn't going to happen for you. From that first moment at turn one to the virtual safety car didn't turn out, the hard tyres didn't give you the gap. Were you thinking it just wasn't going to happen?
Of course it looked like it, but in my mind it's like, I'm just going to try everything I can. I'm going to push till the end. Just keep trying and not give them a big advantage at least. And basically that also gave us then the opportunity to do that stop all the time because I didn't have the pressure from behind, and that at the end put me on the softer compound.
And then when you had that one lap shootout, what was going through your mind?
Well, of course you want to try and pass him, but I had a massive cramp in my calf, so in my throttle leg. So all the time on the straights when I was going flat out and when I actually went for the move, I had a massive cramp. So I was actually happy in turn 5 there was a braking zone so I could come off throttle. But then of course I was in front, and then the whole straight, you have this massive cramp and your muscle is just like clamping on and getting worse and worse. I've had it before, but it's not a nice feeling, but a chance like this you just have to bite through it.
Well, congratulations. Just finally, Checo, what a massive job he did for you today.
Insane. Because of Checo today, I won the championship as well.
Congratulations, enjoy your party.
Hello, Max.
Nice to hear Max give a lot of praise there to Sergio Perez. He has driven outstandingly this year, hasn't he? All the way through the year.
He's driven outstandingly for actually more than just this year as well. For many years, he's shown the potential of this, but he's now got a winning car and he's delivered. He's made very, very few mistakes. He's been aggressive, but he's made very, very few mistakes. And it's hard to say out of this one, either way, we were going to have a deserved winner because they've both been epically good.
Do we need to, very quickly, I think we should, look at the flashpoints that he's had this year. Is that an element of his racecraft that he needs to amend, that he needs to work on, or is that part of what makes him so strong?
He's been quite clear all the way through the year, hasn't he? Especially the second half when he was coming under increasing pressure for those flashpoints, that he wasn't going to change his style. And actually,
just
as
in
a driver...
the background, sorry mate, we've got Red Bull and Mercedes both leaving the stewards as we speak. Sorry, very serious stuff going on while we're not looking entirely serious with our Christmas hats on. Sorry mate, you were saying?
Yeah, no, I was just saying, as a driver, to change your style is actually probably one of the most dangerous things that you can do. It's probably better for Max to be confident in what he's doing and just carry on in that way and just make the best of it rather than try and adjust to what other people were asking of him.
Did you ever race him in karting?
No, I was fortunate enough not to.
Because everyone that did says he was notoriously like this even back then.
I raced him in the first...
You've raced him. You're the man to talk.
I raced him.
Was he ruthless with you, Will?
I was awful. No, it was his first open wheel championship in Florida Winter Series in 2014, and it was an open data championship. So you had debriefs at the end of every day, and you had overlays of everyone's lap charts, and I was obviously rubbish. But Max was getting up everyone's noses already, and he was just out of karts, first open wheel championship, and you're looking at guys like Dennis van der Laar and Raffaele Marcello who had been in F3 and were experienced, Nicholas Latifi who had the experience. Max was playing with them, sitting on their rear wing like you're doing, like in karts, just sitting, waiting. Already had the Verstappen defense down, sitting in the middle of the track so that he could just move one way, move the other really quickly to close them off. He was annoying people from then.
Because he doesn't really care what anyone else thinks.
No.
He just does his own thing. His own thing is maximum aggression, and everyone now knows it as well. So you've got to pick your fight with Max because you know that he's not about to back out. And even before this year, he wasn't. Now everything at stake this year, maybe it was even more aggression, particularly with him ahead of Lewis in the standings. I don't think he's going to change. Maybe there was an element of really wanting the first title. Did Michael Schumacher mellow after 1994? I don't know if he really did.
And he's 24. If we imagine the driver that Lewis was at 24, we now see the depths that he's managed to draw out of himself this year in his mid-30s. I mean, what do we expect? What can we anticipate from Max Verstappen in the future?
Well, that's the thing. We don't know, how much higher can he go. And he combines that with aggression with intelligence, doesn't he? He plays with the edge of the rules, but only because he's well aware of them and what he can get out of it. He goes right up to that limit and extracts the absolute maximum that he can from it.
And really, Lewis is such an amazing Formula One driver, 7-time world champion, and they're neck and neck right now, and that's Max at 24, having now today won his first. Checo's a great driver, and he's not been able to get to Max's level. Maybe with more time in the team he can get there, but someone is going to need to challenge Max in the future because Lewis hopefully can come back and give us a big fight. Maybe Ferrari could step up, or Lando, or Daniel, but he is just a cut above at the moment, I think, from a lot of others, and it's great that Lewis and him could go really hammer and tongs the whole season.
Let's look then at the championships at the end of this 2021 Formula One season. Max Verstappen is the Formula One World Champion 2021. 395.5 points from Lewis Hamilton, 387.5. Valtteri Bottas P3, Perez P4, Carlos Sainz confirmed in 5th ahead of Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc, just slipping down there by 1 point behind Lando. Daniel Ricciardo P8, Gasly, what a sensational season. We haven't really spoken about him, but a great season for him. P9, Fernando Alonso in 10th for Alpine. Ocon finishes in 11th, then Vettel and Stroll, Tsunoda and Russell, an excellent P15. Then it's Raikkonen, Latifi, Giovinazzi, the Haas drivers of Schumacher and Mazepin. No points for them. Robert Kubica classified in 20th for that one race outing he had this year, in which he finished higher than Nikita Mazepin managed to do all season. In the Constructors' Championship, confirmation, and I misspoke earlier, believing Red Bull Racing had somehow managed to nick the Constructors' Championship. They haven't. It is all Mercedes. What a job they've done to win an 8th consecutive Constructors' World Championship. Red Bull Racing in 2nd, Ferrari confirmed in 3rd ahead of McLaren, Alpine confirmed in 5th ahead of AlphaTauri, then Aston Martin, a disappointing season for them. Williams, excellent year for them, confirmed in 8th. Congratulations, Jack. 9th for Alfa Romeo, 10th for Haas with 0 points. And that, gang, I think is pretty much it. Guys, what a season it has been. What an incredible year. Your thoughts on 2021?
Want to do it again.
Don't we all?
It's just been magical, hasn't it? And we've had a few dominant years for Mercedes. Finally, this battle, not just the battle, but the races, some crazy races as well in there. Think of Hungary, and Lewis is the only driver on the grid, and Esteban Ocon gets a win. Some other shock results, Daniel Ricciardo's win at Monza. It's just had everything.
It has been phenomenal, hasn't it?
Yeah, I've been trying to tell people whenever I can, wherever I can, you have to start watching the F1 right now if you're not doing it, because this season is one of the best that we're going to see for a long time, or have seen for a long time. You know, the amount of drama, the fact that we've had 2 drivers at the top of their game, 2 teams at the top of their game, going toe-to-toe, matched on points going into the final race. It's just unbelievable. We are really lucky to see something like that, actually.
It's been incredible. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in all the way through the year. We've appreciated your support, all of the comments and all of the notes, and just all of you tuning in. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody behind the scenes that you don't get to see. JP, have a quick whip around. Show everybody that's here. JP, give me a whip around. He's not listening to you. 8 years, he's listening. Everybody here that works. We're a small team. Camera can't go all the way around. A small team on site here, but we love what we do, and we love bringing this show to you. To everybody back at base in Biggin Hill, St James's Market, to everybody in the paddock, Sam Collins and Lawrence Barretto, Rosanna Tennant, everybody who has hosted, everybody who has come on the show, everybody who has co-hosted on the show. Thank you guys so much. Folks, what a season it has been. Max Verstappen is your champion. Mercedes have the team's title. And I think we are all off for a bit of a nap. It has been the longest Formula One season in history, and I'd wager probably the most exciting as well. Thanks for following along. We'll see you in 2022.
Oh, we've got a big crash at the back for the Haas.
He'll have to wait for his first full racing lap in Formula One for another few weeks.
Get in there, Lewis. Still got it, Bono. Yeah, not bad for an old man.
Oh, and Lewis Hamilton over the curb. That is Lewis Hamilton off into the gravel. And we've got a huge crash there with the other Mercedes and Valtteri Bottas and the Williams coming together. Terrible day for Mercedes.
Yes. Hamilton all the way round the outside takes the lead of this Spanish Grand Prix.
Oh, the gearbox goes.
I'm sorry to hear. No, super slow start on front right. The softy's just jammed on.
Oh, nice race.
That was masterclass when you're leading the World Championship. Push flat out.
Yeah, shut up.
Well, and we've got a big spin from Lance Stroll. It was going so well for the Canadian. Oh, we've got a crash there. It's Verstappen. Devastation. Hamilton's going to take the lead, but a huge lock-up, and he's off. Lewis Hamilton is out.
Oh, I'm so sorry, guys.
Fernando Alonso, that's a stunning overtaking manoeuvre.
That's a podium, man. That's a wrap.
Why the no one listen to me when I say this is going to be a 2-stopper?
Come on, this guy's the... Get out of the way. Incredible, guys. Let's keep this up.
Bottas locks up into the back of Norris, into Verstappen.
Hey, what the happened there?
we are about to have a one-car start in this race.
Esteban Ocon and Alpine pick up their first ever Formula One win. 6 points, that is monumental. Max Verstappen wins the Dutch Grand Prix.
That was epic.
Wow, and it charged and Max Verstappen's into the wall.
Verstappen around the outside, he's going to usher him onto the curb and then crash.
And it's a 1-2 for McLaren.
He won!
Lando Norris is on pole for the first time in his F1 career. That's 100 Grand Prix wins for Lewis Hamilton.
Race win for Max Verstappen, who extends his World Championship lead.
What a mate, that was absolute textbook.
Yes! Fernando Alonso will stand on a podium in Formula One again.
Yes, get it there, you beauty.
This is the showdown that we want. This is what we want to see.
This has been an ending like no other. And this is the moment he's been dreaming of. He is the world champion.
Yes! Oh my God!